But what's going on, everybody? It's your boy, the Nature Boy, back with another video for you guys here today. And today, as you've seen with the title and the thumbnail, today we're talking about Buggy. And yes, I do believe Buggy is a lot stronger than all of us think. Now, I know how crazy that sounds from the get-go, but hear me out, and by the end of this video, you're probably going to be convinced just as much as I am. So, as of the most recent chapter 1082, we focus a lot on Buggy and Cross Guild in this chapter, and we see a whole different side of Buggy that we've never seen before. And we realize that he's actually had big dreams, just like Luffy, just like Blackbeard, just like everyone else this entire time. But the difference here is that Buggy has been dealing with insecurities and inner doubts this entire time due to being raised side by side with Shanks, and his insecurities stemming from the fact that he thinks he cannot compare to the immeasurable potential that Shanks has always shown. And we see this, and we get a lot of deep detail diving into this in this chapter, and we see that Buggy is finally able to put those inner doubts and insecurities to rest and bring about the newfound dreams and ambitions that were deep down inside of him that he's always had from the very get-go. So now you guys may be asking, well, how does this tie into his strength? And one thing we know that does tie into strength, very deeply ties into strength, is Haki. And Haki in itself stems from willpower, and Haki in itself is willpower and one's internal willpower. And in this chapter, in my opinion, we see a great deal of willpower from Buggy. And I think this is where we see a new side of Buggy, because even if Buggy did have these type of ambitions and these type of dreams, the Buggy that we're accustomed to, the Buggy that we're familiar with, would realize the situation that he's in this moment, and he would realize that he just doesn't have the willpower or the fortitude to actually speak his mind freely in the situation that he finds himself in that moment, being surrounded by Mihawk and Crocodile in the situation that he's in. But the fact that he is able to say it now and say it freely and say it proudly, regardless of what may happen to him, does tie into willpower deeply, and with willpower, the potential for Haki can then come in moving forward. So if you guys are liking the video so far, why not go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Your support is greatly appreciated and helps me go a long way in making these videos. So please subscribe. Not to mention that in terms of pure ambition and willpower, he's even shown in this chapter to surpass Mihawk and surpass Crocodile in this specific regard. And one thing that this does show, if anything, it may not show us direct strength in the moment, but its potential. It is pure potential, because the strongest characters that we've seen throughout the story all started off with just a crazy dream and a crazy ambition and a crazy goal that their strength in that time could not possibly measure up to. And while everyone else around them may have laughed or gotten angry at it, they were able to find the strength deep down inside to announce their dream to begin with, regardless of the situation. And we see this also with Kobe post Enies Lobby in his conversation with Luffy and Zoro. And I think this is a perfect comparison here, where we see that Kobe has big ambitions and big dreams, and he wants to reach the highest possible level a Navy soldier can reach and become a Navy admiral. But he feels so insecure in saying this. He has so many doubts inside that he almost struggles. Well, he does actually struggle to say this out loud when he realizes that there are people around him, that Luffy is there and Zoro is there. However, he finally is able to dig deep down inside and bring out that courage and that fortitude and that willpower to speak his mind confidently and strongly and announce that he wants to be a Navy admiral to Luffy. And of course, knowing Luffy and Luffy's personality, Luffy smiles at this and is glad to hear this and tells him that that is the least that he can do if he is going to challenge Luffy, which is Luffy giving him a boost and an extra piece of motivation to, yes, be confident in those dreams and move forward towards your dreams. And of course, since then, we've seen the confidence that Kobe has had at Marineford, speaking up to Akainu, directly standing in front of an admiral and trying to stop the war all by himself. And of course, now we see how much stronger Kobe is. And although I'm not sure if it's been confirmed he is a Haki user or not, I think we all know Kobe is a Haki user by now, for sure. So all this to say that these moments where characters with their own inner struggles, characters with their own self-doubts, characters who have these internal struggles on a regular basis and don't show the most confidence when it comes to speaking about their ambitions, these moments where these characters are finally able to break through that wall and speak their mind and summon that courage, this is Oda showing us the great potential that these characters have. And these always tend to be the characters that end up jumping very high in strength overall throughout the story. Whereas you may have characters like Mihawk and characters like Crocodile and other characters who are very, very strong in their own rights, but don't have that ambition to reach the absolute top level and don't have that type of inner ambition within themselves. And I'm not saying that is to say that all of these characters like Buggy or Kobe will surpass these characters like Mihawk, as crazy as that is. But all I'm trying to say here is that this is the earliest stage of being able to tell that a character is going to get stronger in the future, is seeing this characteristic within them. And as we see with most characters, their strength comes from their high ambitions and level to dream incredibly high and what they are willing to do to achieve these dreams. And now that Buggy has stated this publicly in front of every member of the Cross Guild, it's almost like he has activated the true form of himself. And from this moment on, now that he has broken through that wall, we may actually see Buggy not just make leaps in terms of status and titles, but actually make leaps in terms of strength. Keep in mind, Buggy does have a very unique devil fruit, and if used correctly, can be one of the best devil fruits in this series. As we see, it is a great counter devil fruit to not just Mihawk, the world's strongest swordsman, but to practically every swordsman out there in One Piece. And this is the base level of this devil fruit, held by a guy that has really never used it to its full potential, or even a little bit of its potential. So if from this moment on, we were able to see Buggy with this newfound confidence unlock abilities such as maybe Haki and Devil Fruit Awakening and what he is able to do with his fruit specifically, Buggy can realistically make huge leaps in strength here. Like I said, he already has a great Devil Fruit. He sailed with the strongest crew and saw the best of the best in action. He has an incredibly strong group of men surrounding him now, which is the main thing he lacked before ever since turning down Shanks. If you think about it, whenever Shanks and Buggy parted ways at Roger's execution, a huge reason why Shanks was able to become so great and Buggy wasn't was because of the people that they surrounded themselves with. Where Shanks started to challenge Mihawk for the world's strongest swordsman title, and he started to surround himself with men like Beckman and Yasop and Rue, and he would fight guys like Blackbeard and Whitebeard. He was surrounded by the greats, and so he became a great. Whereas Buggy left Shanks and left that opportunity to be with a great pirate and start from there. And he was surrounded by his basic level soldiers that we saw in the East Blue and in Orange Town, and basically no one that was really extremely strong. And I think that is one of the biggest reasons that Buggy has fallen so far behind Shanks up until this point in the series. So it's not entirely far-fetched, in my opinion, to think that he could get incredibly stronger over a small period of time now that he flipped that switch from within himself. I would go as far as to say it's incredibly likely that Buggy will actually activate Conqueror's Haki at some point in the near future in the story. So much so actually that I'm willing to bet on it. Keep in mind, he didn't just decide to say this at any random moment. He was in a position with two of the strongest men on the planet already extremely angry with him, beaten and bruised and bloodied, and with his head hanging from a hook in a cellar, and he knows, again, he knows that what he is about to say will 100% anger these men more to will they could potentially kill him. And even knowing this, Buggy says it anyways, finally summoning the courage to state his true dreams, even knowing that stating it alone, just simply stating it, could very likely lead to his death. And this is a strong sign of the characteristics of a king. And remember, kingly ambition is due more so to personality than it is to strength. It's more about personality and potential, as we saw with Ace and Luffy and many other characters unlocking this ability when they were still significantly weak. However, it was simply to show that they had the characteristics and the potential to be amongst the greats. And I think Buggy, as crazy as it sounds, will fit into that category before this story is all said and done. And if nothing I said has convinced you guys so far, I believe this topic right now that I'm about to discuss single-handedly will prove my point and will get you guys thinking about Buggy in an entirely different way. So I want you guys to think back to Marineford and think back to a moment specifically with Mihawk and what Mihawk says about Luffy. Mihawk is thinking back to Luffy, and he mentions that Luffy has a very unique ability, and this ability is that Luffy is able to draw in many different allies everywhere he goes, left, right, and center. He's just like a magnet, bringing in all of these allies who are naturally drawn to him and want to fight for him and fight for whatever he is fighting for and fight alongside him and protect him. And Mihawk states that this ability to draw in people wherever he goes is perhaps the most dangerous ability on the seas. And this is what makes Luffy special. This is what makes Luffy so unique. This is what makes this Luffy story at the end of the day, because he is the only person who has this ability, right? Right? Or no? Well, let's go back. Let's look at Buggy. Ever since Buggy has escaped Impel Down, what have we seen? We've seen a vast number of Impel Down escapees who even Whitebeard acknowledges the strength of, automatically drawn to Buggy in the same way these other characters are drawn to Luffy. And we see this throughout Marineford, how everything that Buggy does, no matter if it's him trying to escape, no matter if it's him cowarding, if it's him scared, if it's him angry, no matter what it is, it seems that by luck and by chance, it just draws these people closer and closer to him. And then we see throughout the time skip, this continues on where he now becomes a warlord with the same ability. And now he's even able to become a Yonko with the same ability. And not only that, but as we see now, whether it's by circumstances, whether it's by chance, by luck, whatever it is, he has now attracted the likes of two former warlords, the world's strongest swordsman in Dracula Mihawk and former warlord Sir Crocodile. So not only is he attracting these strong Impel Down former escapees, but he is also now really attracting guys that can help make him a true Yonko crew. Even in the latest chapter of 1082, Buggy flat out says that through luck or chance, he always ends up in these incredibly powerful positions. So much so that he is now seen as an equal to Shanks once again, bringing it back full circle from their days with Roger. But I don't think this is luck at all. I think whatever this ability Luffy has to attract people wherever he goes is also wielded by Buggy, and that's why he's constantly getting in such quote-unquote lucky circumstances and achieving titles and positions that he nor anyone else would ever think he would reach. And so taking into account this ability that Buggy has, that could very well be the same ability that Mihawk was referring to about Luffy all the way back in Marineford, and taking into account the strong people that he has around him now, and also taking into account, more importantly than anything, the fact that he has now unlocked his true potential and realized that his dream is worth going for, and he now has that confidence. So we're going to see a more confident Buggy than we've ever seen before, along with the fact that he may very well get Conqueror's Haki. And to me, this is pure foreshadowing that he is absolutely going to get Conqueror's Haki in the future and potentially awaken his Devil Fruit. Taking all this into account, to me, it is not far-fetched to say that by the end of the story, Buggy can very well be able to compete with Yonko one way or another. I'm not saying he's going to be Yonko level, so to speak, but with the right moveset and with the right group of guys and whatever circumstances may be in that position as well, Buggy could very well be able to hang with the Yonko, as crazy as that sounds. Even if he himself won't be as strong as a Yonko, he and his crew together could very well be as strong as another Yonko and their Yonko crew respectively. And Buggy will have something more important than the strength aspect to compete with Yonko, because all the guys behind him already have the strength. But what he will have that will make him be able to compete with Yonko is the right mindset and the right level of willpower, and just the level of willpower and confidence to go after your ambition. And I think that's the most important trait that a leader needs to have, even more so than strength, especially when the people following you already have that strength to begin with. And if this video hasn't blown your mind already, this part is absolutely going to do it, because what I'm about to say is going to shock pretty much everyone watching this video. I believe that by the end of the series, the Pirate King is not going to be Luffy. Again, is not going to be Luffy, but is going to be Buggy-sama. Hear me out. So we know as of very recently, I believe it was chapter 1060, I could be wrong going off the top of my head here, but we know that Luffy, all this time, the reason he wanted to become Pirate King was to be able to achieve his real dream. The dream that we don't know yet. The dream that he spoke to Sabo and Ace when they laughed. The dream that he told the Straw Hats in that very same chapter that I just mentioned. This dream is Luffy's main goal. This is his number one thing. And Luffy says that he can't achieve this without becoming Pirate King. Fair enough. So Luffy needs to become Pirate King to achieve this dream. Now we just know that Luffy is going to achieve this dream before the series is over, right? So knowing Luffy and knowing Luffy's personality and how Luffy doesn't care about titles or materialistic things. We know he doesn't care about gold. We saw him throw away and give up gold many times before in Fisherman Island to Big Mom, after Skypiea and in Water 7. And we know Luffy doesn't care about titles. He doesn't care to be titled a hero. He doesn't care about status. He barely cared when they were calling him the 5th Yonko. That's just not Luffy, and that's not his characteristic, and we all know this. So if Luffy is able to achieve his dream, after he's done with his dream and after he's achieved it, what good is that Pirate King status? What good is that Pirate King title to Luffy? Again, think back to Roger. This isn't even something that Roger himself wanted. Roger just wanted to explore the world, sail to every island, and discover the truth of the world. And once he did that, it was the world government and the world themselves that labeled him the Pirate King on the papers. It wasn't him that said this. Roger never chased this title. He never had ambitions to be called the Pirate King. It just sort of came to him. And Luffy, with the same personality as Roger, just wants the same dream. He doesn't care for the title. So once Luffy's able to achieve this, I could very well see that, let's say the story ends and we cut 1 year into the future, at the very end of the story, just to see every character in one last scene, in one last moment, to see what they're doing in the final end of the story, just to catch up with them one last time. And let's say we see Zoro is now the world's strongest swordsman. He's disbanded from the Straw Hats. The whole crew has disbanded. He's doing his thing over here. Perhaps he's bored like Mihawk was always bored, and now he's sleeping around looking for a challenge. And we see Frankie doing his thing, building another ship perhaps, doing whatever he's doing. And we cut to all these different characters. And then we cut to Buggy. And the same way that we said it was crazy for Buggy to become a warlord, that would never happen. The same way we said Buggy would never become a Yonko, that could never happen. Absolutely unimaginable. What better way to end the story of Oda's biggest troll character than to show him in one last scene being the Pirate King, with that big smirk on his face, being happy as ever, and finally reaching the end point of this amazing, different, unique journey that he's had of being able to just zigzag his way to the top through sheer luck. He is now able to get there because Luffy has already achieved it and has done whatever he needed to do. And whether Luffy is dead or alive, he is no longer Pirate King, and Buggy ends the story in that position. Because I think as ugly and as evil of a character as Buggy can be at times, we all love him deep down inside. We all want to see him succeed. We all want to see him win. And I think no one better wants to see this for Buggy, wants to see him succeed and win more than Oda himself. So let me know what you guys think. Do you guys think Buggy has any chances of getting stronger in the future? Or do you guys think Buggy will always remain the weakling that he is? Let me know all that in the comments down below. Like, share, and subscribe if you haven't already. And be sure to check out this video on where does Kid go from here now that he has been defeated by Shanks. I think you guys will enjoy that video a lot. So go ahead and check that out. I'll see you guys over there. Thank you guys. Nature Boy out.